I'm sitting here today with my friend Kelly. She's visiting from all around, all over. I've known her forever, for a long time. And she's my bestie. I'm going to be filming her. She is a lesbian. We're going to be talking about her journey with Course in Miracles. Hi, Kelly. Welcome.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm so glad you're back. I'm excited that you've been here for a while hanging out with me.
Yeah.
Makes me excited. I'm sad that you're going to leave, though, but you know you can always come back here and find me.
I probably will come by on my way back.
Okay, so this is Stand Up Humboldt, a GLBT talk show. We're going to talk about here that you've been doing, you're traveling with Course in Miracles. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, what happened was, I guess you could say I just got tired of just the regular living to survive, to eat, to have a place to live, going back to work, and just not inspired. Just got tired of it. I gave a 2-week notice at my job and just took off in my car with my 17-year-old cat, my 20-year-old car, and my 53-year-old body. And we headed out. I had no idea how we were gonna, where we were going or anything. There's a group, there's a lot of A Course in Miracles groups. If you don't know about it, it's a book, it's a self-study book that Helen Schuckman scribed with Jesus as the one that spoke through her. And there are a lot of different groups and people who practice it all over the world, but this particular group, Living Miracles group, I went to see 2 of them that were traveling and speaking at gatherings. They get invited to gatherings, and when I got there, the host asked me to spend the night and gave me money and everything to keep traveling because she's part of this group and Holy Spirit guided her to do that. So the next day I was in a hotel, and underneath Facebook, while I was talking with my sister, the person who doesn't really run it, but they have people who've, I guess you could say they're peace messengers of peace. They've been with Living Miracles for a long time, and they invited me out to the monastery in Utah. So I ended up driving all the way out to Utah, about 1,800 miles, and spent a month and a half on the monastery volunteering. And what it does is it brings up all your issues and all your things that you can use the principles of A Course in Miracles to work on. And since everyone there is doing the same thing, it can be quite an experience, however, which is what you go there for. You go there to bring up all that stuff so you can see where you're not living in peace and how you can let that go. And the book, A Course in Miracles, has many different principles and guidance for doing that. So we all work together to do that. So it was quite an experience. And then I took off from there and just started
I have a question.
Oh.
So what was it like there? Actually, can you tell us a little bit is it personal? Can you tell us a little bit about sharing while you're at the monastery?
Well, what you do is you're assigned functions, and we had an event, which they'd never had one this big, that involved like 150 people coming to stay there and camp and all kinds of stuff. So all the volunteers set up, this was a pretty big setup, stages and camping ground, all kinds of stuff. So what happens is when you're doing all that, there's all kinds of conflicts and things that come up between human beings, and so you get to work on it. You join with Holy Spirit, you work the principles that are in A Course in Miracles, and you have all the things come up. You don't hide them. 2 of their things are no people pleasing and no private thoughts. So you don't keep any of your thoughts private. You say what's on your mind, and there's actually times when it's set up just for that. And no people pleasing means, you just don't try to make someone say something nice so someone will be your friend or any of that kind of stuff. You're not there for that. You're there to let this stuff come up so you can look at it and see that it's not who you really are. Who we really are is spirit. If you want to look deeper into these principles, because it's a very big book, it's written like the Bible, and it's kind of complicated, double negatives and stuff like that. The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard is a perfect book that will explain A Course in Miracles very, very well. So if anyone's interested, The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. So anyways, what it does, it just brings up all those things that are human so that you can look at them and really recognize that that's not who we are. We're not these guilty, sinful, all these things that religion tells us. We're actually spirit, we're love, we're peace, and it's sitting right underneath all of this belief and all this guilt and all this stuff that we have sitting on top, which is what's reflected in the world. It's what's reflected in our daily lives. You know, that's what we're working through, to see deeper, not just to live this surface survival, try to please everyone, try to be liked, get sick and die. You know, let me retire, let me make a lot of money, let me be able to travel places, and for what? You know, I mean, I'm not saying traveling isn't fun, but ultimately it's not going to bring you peace. So, yeah, it's just going deeper, a lot deeper.
Did you find inside the monastery other similar people like you?
Well, I mean, that's what it's for. They're all on the same path.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have been invited there had they not been guided to invite me. So they use the term Holy Spirit. You can use higher power, you can use any term you want. But yes, they were guided by Holy Spirit to invite me and my cat to, which they never do.
And you have to be invited?
No, you can actually pay to go and volunteer there. But yes, there is a stringent application thing where they got to make sure, you know, with Holy Spirit, that you're actually wanting this, that you're not just, you know, that there's something really desired inside of you to have this work in your life. So I didn't do the application, see, because it's just a guiding thing. Like, they had me fill it out, and it disappeared off of my computer while I was in the hotel room, and she said, you know, just don't worry about it, come on. So Holy Spirit told them, you know, that's the desire of her heart. She wants.
And how many monasteries are there around? Just.
Well, this particular group, livingmiracles.org, that's David Hoffmeister. I mean, you can call him the leader. They don't really have leaders. There's no hierarchy, but they've had many, and they've been guided to sell and buy as they've been guided to sell and buy. So they had one in Hawaii, which is now sold, and Spain, which I believe they sold that one as well, and I think they had one in Australia a long time ago. Currently, they have Utah, which we closed up for the winter, and they had another one in Utah, which was their main production and publishing of their books place, and they're also selling that one. That was in Camas, and now they have their main one down in Mexico, which I think it has 4 different properties, and it's really beautiful. And they were guided to purchase that one as well. They've had that one probably now 3 or 4 or 5 years, I guess, and that's become their main one down in Mexico. It's down in Chapala. But you can look up livingmiracles.org, and that'll show you that's that particular group of A Course in Miracles. There's many of them, but they do follow the Course. They follow it to the letter. A lot of people don't, and that's not to say, I mean, we don't, because it's very radical compared to how the world thinks, you know. So
how could you, if others wanted to join and go to the monastery, how can they get involved?
Just like I said, go to livingmiracles.org, and I guess I would just message one of the, you know, or message, I'm sure they have a place where you can actually communicate with them, so just communicate. I mean, if you don't know about A Course in Miracles, then you're going to want to check into that before you jump into wanting to go to the monastery. It's not a religious thing, and it is quite challenging. I mean, it's something that you really got to want and be ready for. A lot of them stay there. A lot of them are community. They don't ever leave. They've been there for years and years. They live in a community. And some come and go, which will probably be me. You know, really, I just want to live an inspired life, and I haven't found anything that inspires me, so I know that it's going to have to be Spirit coming through me. And the only way it can really come through me is if I let go of all this garbage I have on top, you know, because that's blocking it. You know, and so that's it. That's my journey. It's just moving. It's really a mind journey.
So anyone can go to anyone, if they're interested, can go.
Well, no. Like I said, there's a process. You have to fill out the volunteer application. And down in Mexico, they have 4 properties. And a lot of people are buying or renting properties on the periphery, on the outside of all where their monasteries are, so they can have their own place to live, but be involved with the group. so they can go to the gatherings and those kind of things. I don't think they'd stop you from going to any of those. Those are open to everyone. So, but no, volunteer-wise, like if you wanted to live in community, no, there's actually a process, because it's not for money. It's for the opening of your mind, going deeper, changing your mind about the world instead of thinking you have to change the world. That's one of the principles in A Course in Miracles, is not to try to change the world, but to change your mind about the world. You change your perception, and then you see the world differently. So they have to, they'll pray about it with spirit and find out if, and read what you've written, and it's a pretty in-depth application form. I think you even do a YouTube short video. I think it's like 5 minutes or something that you also submit. So yeah, it's not, you don't just go because you have money. You actually have to, something that they have to feel you really want.
There's like requirements, it sounds like.
Well, it's not a requirement, but they are going to pray about it, and they're going to ask Holy Spirit whether, this person is to come or not to come. That's how it works. You're just asking for guidance on a regular basis. That's what I do too. Now, I don't always ask, and I'm not always willing to listen when I do ask. But there's the Holy Spirit never punishes. He knows who you really are. He knows you're a spirit. He knows you're the Christ. So, there's no kind of sin or punishment. It's just that if I'm not listening, then I'm just delaying my own happiness, because we don't know what makes us happy. We think we do, but we don't. If we did, guess what? We'd be happy already, and we always think, oh, if we have more money, or I have this, or I have that. But when you get this or that, or have more money, and that's apparent if you just look at people who have these things, that it doesn't bring happiness or peace.
So there's many different denominations there, or just, it's not like that?
Well, A Course in Miracles is a self-study group. It's not a religion. There are no denominations, but there are people who follow it to the letter, and people who skirm around it because it's very intense and they don't want to follow it perfectly. Now, I'm not saying I follow it perfectly, but I do know what it says, and that is the ones I choose to follow. It's just my own ego that would keep me from following it perfectly. But if I followed it perfectly, I'd already be ascended. I'd be at perfect peace. So, but yeah, there are people who don't follow it the way it's actually written. And just like the Bible or any other book, they interpret it the way they want to, that suits them. And that's just more the ego trying to do it its way, But that won't bring you peace either. So, I would just say I'm on a quest for peace,
So you said you just left one day, decided to do this, and you went to Utah. Is that where it was?
Yeah, I just got real tired of life, period. I was clean and sober for many years, and it worked for a while. I did the 12 steps intensely, and then I got into landmark education. I did that for probably 8 years as well, and that came to its maximization, where it just wasn't, I knew there had to be more than that. So, there's really nothing more than, of course, I'm not saying there aren't other paths to enlightenment. Of course there are, and they're probably all along the non-duality path. They'd have to be. But, I'd say this is one of the quickest. And like I said, The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard will definitely, and he's on Facebook too, will definitely give you a idea of what the Course is about in a way that's easily presented. What happened is he had 2 ascended masters land on his couch, and they had conversation that turned into a book. Now, you can believe that or not believe it, read it as a work of fiction if you like, but it definitely explains the Course quite well. And he has 2 other books after that. I think he's writing a 4th one now. But yeah, it's amazing. The Disappearance of the Universe is a great book for understanding what A Course in Miracles is about.
Where was the first monastery built or started?
With Living Miracles, I'm gonna have to go with the Peace House, which is in Cincinnati. I think that was the first one he bought. That came in, and Holy Spirit gave him money to buy, and David Hoffmeister. And he's got plenty of videos and YouTubes all over too, so if you want to check out any of that about the Course, just do so. I actually went to 2 weekends there, retreats, while I was living in working in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and living in Georgia, I went up to 2 of the retreats within like a year and a half of each other, weekend retreats. So that was my first taste of the living in the community. Although it was only 2 of the people from the actual community that were running the retreat that weekend, but you know, probably 10 or 15 of us each time for the weekend. It's a smaller house, and we gathered there and had a weekend of Course in Miracles work. They also have something called Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment, which is where you watch movies with the Holy Spirit, and they actually have commentary. I think there's a little charge per month. I'm not sure what it is. And they have commentary that tells you what aspect you're working on, what emotion, what thing you're trying to let go of, like jealousy or hatred or anger or whatever it may be. So it's really wonderful. I mean, I never really used it. I got some at the monastery, but I would watch movies and ask Holy Spirit to show me what he wanted to show me, and I was always amazed. He always showed me. I mean, it didn't even matter what kind of movie it was. It could be a movie, like a scary movie. I'd be like, no way you're going to show me anything in this movie. And he would, every time. It was only my willingness to ask him, and it would always show up.
Then after that, so you're now on your journey since you left Utah. You came out to California. So what next?
I honestly don't know. He's shown me a lot of things really clearly and some not so clearly, but I'm sure that's my willingness to hear. But what he's really saying to me is it doesn't matter what I do. You know, doing, doesn't matter what I do or where I go. The body seems to go. He's saying it matters who I'm doing it with. Am I doing it with the ego, or am I doing it with the Holy Spirit? So if I'm doing it with the Holy Spirit, it doesn't matter where the body goes or what it does. It's going to be a peaceful and undoing of all the lies that we believe in the world that keep us not at peace. All the things that we believe we have to take care of ourselves, that it's a struggle, that there's lots of suffering, that life is hard, all these beliefs we have, that the Holy Spirit's trying to show us something different. He's trying to show us what's really true and sitting underneath. Basically, it's just, you know, the world is an illusion. Now, that's a very deep metaphysical concept, so you don't just jump to the world's an illusion and everything's okay. It takes a lot of undoing, it takes a lot of mind training. And it's not like someone's training your mind. You're choosing to see things differently, and you're asking a higher power to help you do so. And it's not necessarily an overnight, you know, God only knows how many lifetimes we've actually lived already that, you know, has brought us to this point. Has brought me to this point where I was even willing to begin this journey. So.
Are you You totally love this part of your life about this whole journey with the monastery. You found a whole new beginning.
Oh, I wouldn't say I loved being at the monastery. No, I don't really choose to live in community like that. But it doesn't mean I won't one day. You know, I'm not sure what the Holy Spirit, you know, has in mind to use me for, or how He wants to speak through me. I would imagine what we're doing right now is part of it. And of course, before we started this, I was thinking, you know, I'm not really worthy to speak of this, and you know, the whole human Kelly thing, and I just said, hey man, if you want me to say something, you better get on it. Show me what you want me to say, because that's it. It's just a little bit of willingness to ask for guidance and to ask for Him to speak through you, and that's it. I mean, that's the beginning. I mean, really, it's what we all want. We all just want love and happiness, but we think we know what that is. And what we call love here in the world, it's not love. And if you haven't figured that out yet, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have. It would only take a few minutes of contemplation to realize that what we call love really isn't love. It's special love. It's attachment to bodies. It's attachment to things have to look a certain way, or I won't love you, or, you know, just it's not what true love is. So.
And you feel like this is like you become family with all these people. You become like their family.
Oh yeah, I've definitely gotten closer with a lot of them, and you actually get a lot of people that you feel some deep resentments towards, and what you're doing is projecting your own mind onto other bodies, and part of that projection is going to be resentments and angers and hatred. So you get it, there you are projecting it on another person and saying it's because they're this way or that way, and you get to realize, no, it's just my mind. It's not really outside of me. The anger and the resentment and all that is me, and I have it towards myself or what I see as my own life, or I have resentments against the body. We have lots of resentments against bodies, our own and everyone else's.
And at the same time, yes, what I'm learning from you is like this monastery just sounds like an amazing place. So when you say the Holy Spirit, that just means like this thing that's guiding you, right?
Yeah, you can call it anything you want.
Right.
That's just the term used in A Course in Miracles by Jesus or Jesus. But that brings up a lot of connotations of religious crap and shit, which I totally understand because I don't I don't buy the religious stuff either. So I understand where that could be like, I don't want any of that. So you can use any term you choose. I mean, it's not necessarily that you use Holy Spirit. They're just words. So it's just like a 12-step program that might say higher power or anything else. You can use any term you like, just a power greater than yourself.
And so we're gonna end this. We're gonna end this soon. So one last thing that you want to say to the audience, viewers, people.
I would say just don't be hard on yourself. Whatever your journey is and however it looks, don't judge it. Any judgment we have, like I've judged that I drink a little now, and I hadn't drank for years or any of that stuff. And what I'm finding out is it has nothing to do with anything. The Holy Spirit said everything's going absolutely perfect. It's to show you whatever you need to see. Don't judge anything. Just keep coming back to me. Keep asking me. Don't think that you can do anything wrong or that I will never not be there for you or not love you, because none of that is true. You just stay in the love. Just whatever you think you messed up with someone, just keep coming back. That's your journey. Show me what I needed to see from whatever I think occurred that was wrong or bad or even good. Just show me what those are all judgments, bad, good. There's no bad, good. There's only peace or non-peace. So just show me what you want me to see, how you want me to view this thing that I think is going on or my life.
Well, thank you, Kelly, for coming on Stand Up Humboldt, and happy journey to you in the future.
It really comes down to the spark in your heart. It really comes down to acknowledging that spark and to answering the call. That is what takes you higher and higher. And the ego will try to prevent that with all the coulda, woulda, shouldas, and what about this issue, and you've had this issue for 25, 40 years or whatever. Don't think you can just walk right out of the cage, so fast. But you can walk right out of the cage as fast as you want, because as I said before, you have the key. You hold the key to the lock, and you can let yourself out at any given instant. That's encouraging. That's of optimism that's not based on wishful thinking, but it's based on God. It's based on spirit. It's based on strength. You have the power to turn the key at any time you want. That's truth speaking. That's wisdom speaking. That's not wishful thinking, hopeful thinking. That's truth. And we're here to encourage and support that. Again, not to set up dependencies, not to set up more shoulds and ought tos. You're actually allowing those shoulds and ought tos to be washed away. When you feel strongly you're to take quiet time or to take a walk, even with the tiniest little things, those are little promptings, little nudges in your heart that Jesus is practicing with your mind. Follow those little promptings, follow those little nudges, as tiny as they are. Of course that's the way Jesus works. He's not going to try to give you something that's out of reach. He's going to give you what's completely within reach, and then build on the success of, how did that feel? Didn't that feel good? Yes, it did. Okay. That's how miracles went in my life. I had to build confidence in it. We know that with even a teacher with a child, you have to win their confidence. You have to win their trust. You can't really be a successful teacher unless you win the trust of those that you're teaching. Really, and that's just a conversion for your own mind. It's not like there really are people to teach, but you're just allowing your own mind to be convinced, your own light to be strengthened, your own strength to emerge from your willingness to teach what you would learn, little by little increments at a time. And that's very doable. There's nothing daunting about little successes, following upon little successes and little successes. It's a beautiful way to go back to God. It's a beautiful way to remember presence.